Humanity Matters.
Hello, my name is Samantha Sosnik, and thank you for joining me today on my podcast, Putting the Brakes on Bullying. Today, I have my guest, Bernie Furshpan, and I am here to talk today, Bernie, about cyberbullying. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to start by saying that I've been very blessed with having this podcast, and I've also been noticing a lot of feedback from people. A lot of people have been coming to me and speaking to me. My wish is that they would come a few steps more forward to tell their story, but I do see why people are very hesitant to do that.
They're reluctant.
They're reluctant because they are worried about the backlash that will come to them if they speak up.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for asking me to join you today. You have a wonderful series.
Thank you.
It's a very important topic that we have to discuss. Bullying is bullying. It's been around for as long as humanity's been around, right? It's just the technology has changed in the way people bully.
Yes. And that brings me to my story. So I had a person come to me recently with a very big problem they're facing, and I try to help them through it. I think that they're sensing that I don't not so much care, but I'm not looking to hide and I'm not looking to keep my mouth quiet. So I feel like people are coming to me more now to discuss these things. Maybe eventually I can push them a little further to tell their story publicly, but I will settle for just helping them behind the scenes now.
Sure.
So someone came to me with a story very recently where there are two boys that they know that are using their Snapchat account to harass girls. They add girls to their Snapchat, and the three areas that they are focusing on are, one, their bodies, two, antisemitic comments relating them to Hitler, and three, calling them autistic and retarded because of their intelligence or how they deem their intelligence. So I was completely blown away by this. And the first thing I want to touch on with that is the body shaming. So the boys have described the girls' bodies it's not just about describing their bodies, it's to me bordering on sexual harassment. When you are describing someone's body, calling them fat, making them feel like they are not pretty. You know, if you touch on the wrong girl with this type of rhetoric, the lengths that some girls might go to because they're maybe slightly insecure or very insecure, or they don't have enough confidence, what are you going to do then when somebody harms themselves or worse because they think what you're saying is actually important?
I don't understand. Why aren't people learning from other people's lessons? There are boys and girls who do body shaming and get into very serious trouble doing it. But at the moment, they're so excited about putting somebody down because for them, it makes them feel good that they're above that person. There are better ways to make yourself feel good about yourself than to put other people down. But when they do that, they're hurting others, and there are lessons to be learned from this because young people have hurt themselves seriously and fatally. And so if they haven't learned from this in the past, and it's been very much recognized as a serious problem in society, I don't understand why they're not. What else do we do to tell young people, first of all, this is not acceptable. Secondly, it's illegal.
Correct.
It's against the law to do something like that because you're harming somebody. And so, you know, bullying has been around for a long time. The technology has advanced. And young people feel secure behind the screen But face to face, they're not that courageous.
Well, I like to call them keyboard warriors or
That's what they are.
keyboard terrorists, because you're very bold to describe people's looks and shaming them, or like I said, we'll touch upon that in a minute, about Hitler or about...
What do you think their objective is? What are they trying to do? To drive that person out of their lives, to feel good about themselves? What is their objective for doing something like that?
I don't know, because I go back to this all the time. Like I said, with my daughter, had the same situation with bullying, but it was with girls and moms. I feel that it's total lack of security.
Yeah.
I feel that you feel very threatened, because someone that is secure in themselves and someone that feels good about themselves is only looking to do good for others.
Right.
It doesn't take away
The
from
cup runneth
themselves.
over. When
Say that again?
when the cup runneth over, when
Yes.
you feel good about yourself, you have a lot of, love to share and
Exactly.
generosity to others.
Exactly. You're not looking to fulfill yourself in those
Right.
ways by putting someone else or stepping on somebody else. I really, truly, I know I said this before, but I truly, truly don't understand that. I just don't. I don't get it. And, we're discussing now with boys to girls. I know back in the day we would have things where I was in sleepaway camp and we talked to people, said things, but now you're now placing someone, you're adding people to group chats to destroy them. And like I said before, if you come across the wrong girl or boy that can't handle it,
Right.
what is it that you are going to do when you find out something has happened to them?
Right.
What is it that you're going to do? You know what's going to happen? You're going to go on with your life, and this family is going to be ruined because of your behavior.
Right, but there's some consequences to that. Today, you get into some serious trouble. You get into hot water with the police.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, there's laws now against that.
Right.
So if they don't know that, they'll find out pretty quickly if you press charges. And you
Right.
can easily press charges now
Right.
for something like that.
Right. The only problem I have is that's great, and that is great. But then, if something was so far gone and someone committed suicide, then yes, you're left with that, but you're also left with the ruins of what has happened.
Right.
So then I go on to the next topic of the usage of words like retarded and autistic, because you're describing somebody's intelligence level. Okay. So I've been a member of the special needs community for 21 years now. My older daughter has special needs. Even if I wasn't, it breaks all the basic standards of human decency and respect for other people. Okay? So you're saying that somebody is retarded and autistic because they're stupid. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Have you not been taught? I don't understand why these children have not been taught.
I was just going to ask that question. Where are the parents? Where are the teachers? It's common knowledge that we don't talk to other people like this at this point. We did that years ago, but we did that in a kidding way, sometimes to hurt others. But then we found out pretty quickly that this is very hurtful. We don't think of it as hurtful. We think as young people that it's cool, that we look powerful to others, to our friends. But really, it's a very hurtful thing to do, because words can lead to a lot of pain. That's what happened in the 1930s. It was just words of hate that led to violence and then ultimately genocide and then the Holocaust.
Correct.
So words are very dangerous. You have to be very careful what you say to people.
Yeah. It's just baffling to me. I just find that totally unacceptable with, you're definitely not being educated by your parents. Do I step into a role as a mother with Tatum and discuss things with her? Absolutely. Do I feel at this point that I need to look at her phone? No, I don't. You know why? Because I'm confident and I feel that I've made enough of an impact on her to know that she's not doing that. I see how she behaves in her everyday life.
Right.
I see how she treats others. I see how she'll stop a stranger in the street to compliment the person's shoes.
Right, but you know what? Sometimes though, and maybe that's true in your case, but there are sometimes kids that fool their parents and teachers, and then they find out that they did these heinous acts with other kids behind the scenes, behind the screen, that it's kind of like something that people just don't acknowledge, that potentially their child can harm others. And many times, parents are called to talk to the principals, and they say, no, that could be my kid. That's not the way I raised them.
Right.
But we really don't know what influences young people today. But it's always been like that. We were young. It happened to me. I was bullied. My parents were bullied during World War II.
Yep.
It just goes on and on and on. And I don't know what we can do to change that.
Well, I don't know either. And I suggested to this person, I had known somebody that was so sorry that they had done stuff, inappropriate things online, and that they went to a job interview, and for some reason, whatever the requirements were for the job, they decided to look up the person. They came across a poor judgment call on this person that was interviewing for the job, and they did not get the job because they found out of things that they did. So I suggested to this person that was coming to me for advice that maybe they should find out where the kids are applying to school. They're juniors in high school, and maybe they should find out where they're applying to school and get on the phone, whoever they can contact, and let them know that this is what they're doing.
Sure. I mean, there are consequences.
Yes.
And it's really a lot up to the victims and their parents and also other adults that are part of their lives.
Upstanders.
To take action.
Right.
Because people need to learn that this is not acceptable. You're harming a person, and it can harm them for the rest of their lives. Right.
When you stop that particular session of bashing somebody, you go on to whatever else you're doing. This person is sitting with this for...
It may affect where they get interviews, what they want to do with their lives. They may be depressed. They may not, be appropriate with their potential.
Right.
They just may, become inactive.
Yes. And so the third topic, there were three topics in this session of cyberbullying, was with regard to making comparisons to some of these girls to Hitler, whether they had a mustache, and so now they're Hitler, whether they are not hot because they are not in the ovens. We're talking about some serious...
That's awful.
Awful things that I don't understand. And by the way, I mentioned to you this when I spoke to you. They're Jewish boys that were bar mitzvahed.
Shocking.
And that are throwing around this language like it's no big deal. Now, I'll go back to a few things. We still have the Holocaust in living memory of people that are still alive.
Sure.
We have anti-Semitism on an all-time high, in my opinion, at least in my generation now.
And they're not helping the situation.
Right. And then the third thing is October 7th, which is still raw, will continue to be raw. And we are now listening or having this, and I don't think these are the only people that have done this. I think that it's very prevalent to be that uneducated and use these terms to think you're funny.
Right.
And we're talking about you work here in the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center. When you walk in this building, there's faces of people that are no longer here because they were tortured and murdered. So for you to say Hitler like it's nothing, I don't understand this.
First of all, they're associating themselves with a loser and a losing campaign, right? I tell young people, if you're scratching a swastika somewhere, you're associating yourself with a campaign that lost to the United States of America. We crushed them. Why do you want to be associated with a loser? You're a loser if you're associating with words that represent evil and hate.
Yes.
And if you're associating them with other people, your peers, your friends, supposedly, it's totally unacceptable. And there should be consequences to that.
I think there should be. I'm going to look into this for this person to help them.
Yeah, it's just unacceptable. At this point, we are a very advanced society. I mean, look at the technology we're using. It's just incredible, but our attitudes haven't changed. Isn't that
Correct.
amazing?
Yeah.
We can kill people now faster and better than ever before, but it's the attitudes have never changed.
Right.
We're still throwing sticks and stones and we're hating each other. And yet we share this tiny little planet. We can do a lot better with the way we treat each other. In particular, young people, they should know better. They don't have to inherit this kind of hate that they heard from their parents or from other people, other adults, other people who are influencers, perhaps. They can reject all of this, and it's really their choice if they want to live in a better world. Mm-hmm. It's their generation. They don't have to inherit any of this.
I know, but I just don't see it. I see a lot of good, but I see also a lot of bad. And the funny thing about these keyboard warriors is that they have there can be screenshots taken. So now this person showed me all the screenshots. Mm-hmm. A bunch of people have them. Mm-hmm. It's like with my daughter, when I had the situation with my daughter with the girls and the mothers that were bullying her, I have a treasure chest of stuff that was sent to her. So I have it. It's never going to go away. So you don't realize that this is a possibility. Now everybody knows it's in print in black and white that you wrote all these things.
It's almost like Hamas when they attacked the Jews, right? The Israelis, and they videotaped and documented the whole thing. You know, the Nazis did the same thing. They were anal about details, and they documented everything they did. And so it really just shows how narcissistic some people can be in terms of how proud they are of their this. They consider this an accomplishment.
Yeah.
This is some accomplishment to put somebody down. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But yet they believe it in that moment of insanity, right? They think that they're doing the greatest thing on the planet. But they don't realize that they're going to end up regretting it in a big way. And if they think that they can get away with it and they continue to do so, they're going to end up in jail somewhere, sometime in the future, for sure, because this is how criminal minds develop.
Yeah.
When they get away with something, just like Hitler did, he was persecuting Jews, the world remained silent.
Correct.
And the more he did, the more silence there was. And
why do you think that is, by the way? Do you think it was because they feared for their own safety? Or
people don't want to get involved. You have somebody who gets mugged on a platform in New York City, on a subway platform. 10 people take out their phones and videotape the event for their TikTok account.
Yeah.
So they think that they're being cool, but they also don't want to get involved. And this is who we're talking to in the Holocaust Museum here. We're talking to the 85% silent majority who do nothing. That's really the worst part of these situations, is not the people necessarily that are doing it and the victims, is those that are not doing anything, those that are apathetic.
And stay silent.
Yes, and this is the majority of society. If the majority did the right thing, we wouldn't have these problems.
I know. And listen, like I said, I've had a lot of people come to me over the last 6-7 months that I've been doing this. And they were so happy. They said, I have a similar story. I could relate to this. So I said to one girl, was from high school that I went to high school with. And I said, so come on and tell your story. Mm-hmm. It's cathartic. You feel good after you get out there. And she can't do it, And I said, okay, well,
you need a little courage.
Yeah, and I understand it. I've seen it happen where you stand up for yourself and it backfires, and you need. It's funny because I would think people would understand. To me, it's not rocket science when you say, well, if we formed a pact to stand up to somebody else, then what is that one person that's not nice going to do about it? They're really not going to be able to do much about it. Mm-hmm. But it's the steps in getting people involved to do that.
Right.
I don't find a lot of people stand up for people. I don't think that, and especially the kids these days, because they're afraid that they are going to be the next one after that.
Right. That's true. Well, when I talk to young people, I tell them, if you see somebody being victimized, grab your friends, go to the victim, and walk away with the victim.
Correct.
You need to show the bullies that the victims are not alone. That's what they prey on. They prey on weakness. They never prey on anybody who's bigger or tougher than them.
Or has a bigger mouth, or they can actually stand up for themselves.
How cowardly. They really are.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's really what it shows. So if they want to show how cowardly they are, they continue doing what they're doing, but eventually it's going to end up that they're going to get in trouble. It's just that simple.
I just hope it's before somebody suffers tremendously
That's
from
our
it.
hope.
Or
That's our hope.
because I feel like,
We need victims to actually speak up as well.
yeah.
You know, I was bullied when I was a kid in,
Yes, tell me
in
about
junior
that.
high school. So I was bullied by this big kid, and he kept jumping me, and I was always on my back, and he was on top of me, punching me and this and that. I couldn't take it. One time, something kicked in when he jumped me in the hallway in junior high school. I blacked out. And before I knew it, my friends were patting me on the back. They said I beat the crap out of him. Yeah, so something kicked in.
Yeah.
And it was a matter of survival or instinct.
Yeah.
And I literally, the kid stayed away from me. He's like twice my size, stayed
Right.
away from me. And I don't know what kicked in, but I know I have this in me. If, push comes to shove,
Maybe, yeah. Definitely.
I got this thing in me that I guess it's just a matter of instinct.
Yep.
But we're all, afraid to get, we're all afraid to get into a fight or to get hurt. And I think this is the way we're raised to some degree. We always avoid conflict. I think we're raised to avoid conflict, to talk things through, right? We're raised to talk things through. Sit down, have a conversation. But sometimes you can't converse with these people because they're on a mission.
And they also know they're wrong, and they also know what they're doing is wrong. So they're never going to admit to it because they're not going to say they want to get away with it. They want to continue to play to have that role that they didn't do anything, because that would actually be taking accountability.
Right, but once they get caught, the panic inside these people, the panic that they're going to get into some serious trouble. Why wait till you panic? Just don't do it. That's what I say to them. Why wait until you get into trouble? Because when you get in trouble, it's going to be serious.
Right.
And it's going to affect your
gonna
entire
follow
life.
you.
It's going to follow you. I know some students who drew swastikas and they couldn't get into the colleges they wanted. So all of these things will, come around and bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
So think twice before you do any of these things. And for those that are not saying anything or speaking up, start talking.
Yeah.
Start speaking up. Talk to the victim. Walk away with the victim. Support the victim. Get off this group chat, whatever that is.
And also, I think, I think, listen, I've seen a lot of people do volunteer work. A lot of times, I've seen, for kids, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, they do a certain charity. And but that should continue afterwards. They should be finding productive ways to give back to the community.
Yes.
That instead of getting on your phone and acting like a lunatic, you should be, we talked about 3 things. You want to talk about a victim and going to help somebody, or volunteering in a school for something. You want to go to a special needs. There's plenty of, trust me, I know, there's plenty of special needs places and activities you can volunteer. If you want to put something nice on your resume for college, go do that for somebody else that just wants to have a buddy or a friend. If you want to come to the Holocaust Museum, there's plenty to do here as well.
Sure.
So instead of doing the opposite of using Hitler's name, calling somebody, describing someone's body in a demeaning way, and calling them autistic and retarded, maybe you should do something like, because I'm sure these boys did their bar mitzvah, project, that they had to do through their service. They're all asked to do. It clearly did not make a difference. It was just for show. And a lot of things these days are for show.
10 years from now, they're going to want to deny that they did it in their own minds, like self-denial. No, I couldn't have done anything like that. It's embarrassing.
Well, now it's in black and white, though.
Yeah, so
Now you got
they're going to
pictures
be
of it.
embarrassed. They're going to totally regret it. So they really do need to think twice.
Yes. Well, some of these kids are just, they're told they're great. They're told they're wonderful. Nobody knows really what they're doing.
That's
and
the
then
point.
they go on that false impression of themselves that they're so fantastic. And
Yes.
they have no ramifications at home. So this is a problem. I think it's a huge problem now. There's so much more I can speak about with regard to the phones. But, I don't see it getting better. That bothers me and it scares me. I don't think it's getting better.
Well, I think talking about it is important.
Yes.
If we impact some people
Right,
in a small way. We've done our job.
Yeah.
Other people have to jump in and also do it.
Yes, yes. All right, Bernie, thank you so much for joining me
Pleasure.
today on my podcast, Putting the Brakes on Bullying. I appreciate you all listening. And do yourself a favor, do a good deed today for somebody else. Thank you very much.